I recently got my firearm safety certificate and I purchased my first handgun ever in California, mind you. And I thought it would be cool to document the process of getting my concealed carry weapons license. So stay tuned next year for part 2.
He's not joking. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now. I've been contemplating what I want to say without saying something that could possibly incriminate myself or could later on be used to get me in trouble. And I think I finally got my thoughts together and know exactly what I want to say without doing neither of those two things. So let's start from the beginning. So right when I turned 21, I knew I wanted to get a handgun to carry, and keep in mind, I grew up watching Colin Noir and a bunch of other YouTubers talk about concealed carry and the importance about training and staying prepared for anything, which at the time and to this day still makes sense to me. And before I continue, understand I have nothing against law enforcement or anyone who's truly wanting to protect and serve their community. I am not my Gen Z peers that believe we need to defund the police. I actually believe in funding the police and getting them the training necessary to have more qualified people who are trained and willing to protect. But even then, I understand that they can't always be everywhere and life is precious, but could also be taken in seconds. And I learned quickly that if my life were to be put in danger, I need to act immediately, because hiding behind a counter and waiting for law enforcement to arrive never sounded like a viable option to me, if, the goal is to preserve life. So I said to myself, yeah, I'm going to take the responsibility to train and learn to carry a gun for the protection of myself and the people around me. The only problem I found out was I live in California, where there's technically only 2 legal ways to transport or have a handgun with you everywhere you go. First, being in your trunk in a long container with a magazine now in an empty chamber. And there was no way I was going to put my life in danger like that. So I went with the CCW route, of course, and this is where my anger and frustration grew towards the people controlling the state of California. Keep in mind, this video is not about how to get your CCW license in the state of California. I just quickly want to go over the process, so hopefully you guys can see where I'm coming from. If you guys are interested more on how and what you need to start the process, I'm pretty sure someone has made a video based on the county that you live in and can help you answer any questions and dive in way deeper than I can. So I started my application back in July 8th of 2022, and keep in mind, I was quick with whatever step they asked of me because I knew and heard the process takes forever. So going in, I already knew I was going to have to wait a little bit, but I was not expecting to wait this long. They did not get back to me till April 25th of 2023. That was 9 months of who knows what they were doing. And later on, I found out who was to blame. It's the DOJ, the Department of Justice, which clearly there isn't in California. At the bottom of the application, there's a note that reads, "Please note the DOJ is currently taking 18 weeks to send us live scan results." The live scan results, for those who don't know, are pretty much, from my knowledge, your electronic fingerprint, which gets ran through agencies and databases to check if you've ever been booked or have committed any serious crime on record that could potentially disqualify you from obtaining a CCW permit, which I knew I had a clean record, so I wasn't worried about anything, but that didn't stop them from taking their sweet ass time to double check, triple check, quadruple check, just to be extra safe. We don't want to accidentally have any criminals roaming the streets with firearms, right?
And that's a federal crime, sir.
Oh my goodness. What? A switch?
So shortly after those 9 months, I get a phone call from the sheriff, which I guess is supposed to be an interview. Didn't really feel like it. He pretty much just said that everything came out good. My record is clean. I'm good to go. By the way, you no longer need a good cause in the state of California. So from what I remember, he did not ask me for any of that. He just said that I was good to go and that they were going to send me an email, which they did after the 2 days after we spoke. The email was pretty much saying that your CCW application has been approved, and the next step you need to do is get with an instructor, which they send you a list and you can go through all the instructors near your area and you can pick the one you want to go with. So I signed up for that, took the class, and all I gotta say was the instructor was based as fuck. The moment we got there, we sat down, dude goes in front of the class and says, "I hope you guys know what you guys are doing right now is completely unconstitutional. None of you guys should be here right now, but I understand why you guys are here, so let's get started." Which, man, it just felt so good to hear those words out of somebody else's mouth, because that's literally how I felt throughout the whole process. The class was nothing special, pretty much just goes over the law and where you can and cannot carry and when it's appropriate to draw your weapon, which from my understanding sounds pretty universal all throughout the United States. If I'm wrong, you guys can comment down below and let me know, but it's pretty much any situation where you're faced with imminent danger of seriously bodily harm. After that, we went to go do the shooting part of the class, which was nothing crazy. You just have to be able to hit shots on targets at about 3 to 7 and 15 yards, which everyone passed. And from there, our instructor submitted our paperwork. Shortly after, I get an email saying, "Congratulations, All we need is more money from you. So I paid, made an appointment, went to go pick up my license on June 8, 2023. This is outrageous. This process took about 10 months for me to obtain a fucking permit that legally allows me to carry a firearm for my own protection. Sorry for my language, but understand how frustrating and angry one would be if they were told by another human being who is flesh and bones that created a law saying you can't legally protect yourself unless I give you the green light. Having to get a permit, which then legally allows you to protect yourself with the tools you have the right to own and keep, understand, is completely unconstitutional and goes against the whole purpose of the Second Amendment, which, let me remind you, the Second Amendment doesn't grant you the right to keep and bear arms. It's a reminder to the government that they can't take or infringe on your natural God-given rights that were here before they were even established. And look, this is the part where I have to be careful with what I say, because let me make this clear, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I understand that right now, if you're living in a state that requires you to have a permit to legally carry your firearm in order to protect yourself or your loved ones, and are going through the process of waiting months on months, and are saying to yourself, absolutely not. The law is not above my life. I am not going to die in a fucking store all because you're telling me I don't have permission from you to legally carry the tools that, let me remind you again, we the people have the right to own and to keep for the protection of ourselves or our families. And for anyone listening who is in the process and are currently waiting to get their CCW permit and are technically, in the eyes of the law, illegally carrying, I am not here to tell you how to live your life. If you are carrying a firearm for good moral reasons and are not looking for trouble but just want to be able to have a way to protect yourself or someone you love, listen when I say I don't believe you're a criminal for not following a law which is unconstitutional and violating your natural God-given rights to self-preservation. All I will say is that you train and that you learn the law. Don't act stupid. Don't give an officer a reason to search you or your vehicle. Know your rights, because yes, there's consequences to your actions, which I don't agree with, but at least here in the state of California, it's considered a misdemeanor and possibly a felony depending on your situation if you're caught carrying a firearm without a permit, and can lead up to a year in jail or $1,000 fine. So again, for legal reasons, I am not encouraging anyone to break the law. All I'm simply saying is I understand why, people are carrying a firearm without yet obtaining a permit. All I'm saying is to, at least if you are doing that, to get training or to train and know the law when carrying out in public. Okay, so what is the solution to all this madness? It's simple. We need constitutional carry, and I'm not just saying here in California, but all throughout the United States, because from my understanding, the Constitution wasn't only intended to apply in some states, because if it was, then might as well just call it the States of America and not the United States of America, which was once united by one Constitution under one God. Now, do I see constitutional carry happening all throughout the United States? As of right now, I don't think so. Yes, there are more and more states becoming constitutional carry, but there are those who will continue to fight back against that from happening. But not all hope is lost yet, because there are some of us that have the inside advantage that will continue to fight to get faster CCW permits handed out so we can have more guns in the hands of trained law-abiding citizens that we actually can help happen by continuing to spread the word to our family and friends, by doing things like teaching them about firearm safety and taking them out shooting. Because understand, aside from the whole online presence thing, you, yes you, the person behind the screen, have a way better reach with the people around your community than I or any internet YouTuber will ever. And if you care about your neighbor, not only will you protect them, but you will also encourage them to protect themselves and their families. By the way guys, I'd really appreciate any feedback on these longer videos, because as of right now, I am just talking about things that have either been on my mind or that I find interesting to start a conversation about, like the idea of needing a permit to legally carry a firearm or carrying a firearm while you're waiting to get your permit. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, whether you agree or disagree. Comments are open for discussion. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know today's video wasn't the most funniest thing ever, which I apologize for, but understand there's going to be videos in the near future that are not so much for entertainment or comedy purpose, but more so to put out a message and talk about serious topics such as things like this. But don't worry, I am planning to make more videos that have a little bit more humor, but also at the same time, hopefully educate. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Also, if you want to get in contact with me or you want to see how I train, you can check me out on Instagram at Shy the Wicked. Besides that, guys, hope you guys have a good weekend and God bless.